And what's going on? Well, I decided to series on this channel. I'm going to release at least a couple of videos a week talking about the criminal justice course. This right here, the information that I'm going to be sharing with you, can be found through Pearson Revel. I'm going to SJR State, St. John's River State University. This is the criminal justice course. And this right here is just going to be 35 terms of the beginning phases of the justice as it relates. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Remember to like and subscribe, and we're going to get this started. The first term that I'm going to share with you guys is the administration of justice. And what this says is the performance of any of the following: detection, apprehension, detention, post-trial release, prosecution, adjudication, correctional supervision, or rehabilitation of accused persons or criminal offenders. That's the definition of administration of justice. Those are the people that handle it. The next one that we come to is arraignment. And this is really important, especially if you're getting ready to go through the justice system and you're going to want to know some of this stuff. Arraignment, strictly the hearing before a court having jurisdiction in a criminal, the identity of the defendant is established. The defendant is informed of the charge and of his or her rights, and the defendant is required to enter a plea. Also, in some usages, any appearance in criminal court before the trial. So this is anything before the trial and arraignment. Next is one of the big ones, and it's one of the ones that many of you are going to be familiar with because you've sent money to a lot of the auditors that are on bail currently and have bailed many people out of jail. And that's the money or property pledged to the court or actually deposited within the court to effect the release of a person from legal custody. So that's bail. Now, booking or correctional administrative process, officially recording an entry into detention after the arrest and identifying the person, the place, the time, the reason for the arrest, and the arresting authority. Yes, Ed, I understand, and I'm taking a computer class. That's why I'm also reading it. This is something that you can kind of do something else at the same time and just kind of listen along. I apologize. I am taking a computer class, and this is going to get straightened out here really soon, I promise. I can videotape my dog while I'm reading this, but you're going to get the same reaction. But I will be improving through the next few weeks. One of my classes in college is for computers, so let's move on to the next one. Civil justice. The civil law, the law of civil procedure, and array of procedures and activities having to do with private rights and remedies sought by civil action. Civil justice cannot be separated from social justice because the justice enacted in our reflects the basic American understanding of right and wrong. That's civil justice. Okay, concurrent sentence. When you have a concurrent sentence, it's one of 2 or more sentences imposed at the same time. After conviction for more than one offense and served at the same time. So this is really important. Let's say you get 5 charges out there and you get a year on each one. If you get a concurring sentence, that means that you're serving the same time for the different offenses at the same time. Also, a new sentence for a new conviction imposed upon a person already under sentence for a previous offense served at the same time as the previous sentence. That's a concurring sentence. The conflict model. Now, this one I found really, really interesting, and I hope you guys do too. This is a criminal justice perspective that assumes that the system's components function primarily to serve their own interests according to the theoretical framework. Justice is more a product of conflicts among agencies within the system than it is the result of cooperation among component agencies. That's a conflict. So that's basically saying that one conflict between maybe say the law enforcement and the booking process or others. That would be a conflict model. Now, the consecutive sentence is just the opposite of the concurring sentence. The consecutive sentence is 1 or 2 or more sentences imposed at the same time after conviction for more than one offense and served in sequence with the other sentences. Also, a new sentence for a new conviction imposed upon a person already sentenced for a previous offense, which is added to the previous sentence, thus increasing the maximum time the offender may be confined under supervision. So that adds to your sentence. So if you get, say, one sentence with 1 year, another sentence with another year, another sentence with another year, and another sentence with another year, the consecutive sentence would make you serve each punishment after the next punishment, which is really important to know. Consensus model. A criminal justice perspective that assumes that the system's components work together harmoniously to achieve social product we call justice. So it's a perspective. It's a consensus model. Let's define what crime is. Now, I know that there's a lot of people that have their own opinions about this and what crime is and what crime isn't. Let's see what they say in the criminal justice course. Conduct in violation of criminal laws of a state, the federal government, or a local jurisdiction for which there is no legal acceptable justification or excuse. Hi, Graham. I'm just right now. I'm going through all of the terms and definitions of the first portion of the criminal justice course, according to Pearson Revel, which they're kind of like the kings of textbooks, pretty much. So that's crime. Control model. A criminal justice perspective that emphasizes the efficient arrest and conviction of criminal offenders. A criminal justice perspective that emphasizes the efficient arrest and conviction of offenders. So that's a crime control model. Criminal justice. Let's talk about criminal justice, because that's the course that I'm taking. Criminal justice. In the strictest sense, the criminal penal law, the law of criminal procedure, and the array of procedures and activities having to do with the enforcement of this body of law. Criminal justice cannot be separated from social justice because the justice enacted in our nation's criminal courts reflects basic American understandings of what is right and wrong. Okay, so that is what criminal justice, that is the definition of criminal justice. Let's talk about the criminal justice system. The aggregate of all operating and administrative or technical support agencies that perform criminal justice functions. The basic divisions of the operational aspects of criminal justice are law enforcement, courts, and corrections, which kind of goes in sequence. First they bust you, then they try you, and then they put you in jail. Criminology. The scientific study of the causes and prevention of crime and the rehabilitation and punishment of offenders. So that's criminology. Here we go, guys. This one is really important. Due process. A right guaranteed by the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments of the U.S. Constitution, and generally understood in legal context to mean the due course of legal proceedings according to the rules and forms established for the protection of individual rights in criminal proceedings. Due process of law is generally understood to include the following basic elements of law, Okay. A law creating and defining the offense, an impartial tribunal having jurisdictional authority over the case, accusations in proper form, notice and opportunity to defend, trial according to established procedure, and discharge from all restraints or obligations unless convicted. Okay, so that is due process, guys. That one is very, very important. Let's see what the model says. Due process model. A criminal justice perspective that emphasizes individual rights at all stages of the justice system processing. A criminal justice perspective that emphasizes individual rights at all stages of justice system processing. So that's the due process model. Evidence-based practice. Crime-fighting strategies that have been scientifically tested and are based on social science research. Crime-fighting strategies that have been scientifically tested and are based on social science research. That is evidence-based practice. Let's hope that none of my viewers ever have to deal with this, but grand jury. A group of jurors who have been selected according to law and have been sworn to hear the evidence and to determine whether it is sufficient evidence to bring the accused person to trial, to investigate criminal activity generally, or to investigate the conduct of a public agency or official. Grand jury. Let's talk about indictments. An indictment, a formal written accusation submitted to the court by a grand jury alleging that a specified person has committed a specified offense, usually a felony. That's indictment. Individual rights. This is what we all fight for. Yeah, they do hate having to serve jury duty. I have a really easy solution, but I'll do that in another video. Individual rights. The rights guaranteed to all members of American society by the U.S. Constitution, especially those found in the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, known as the Bill of Rights. These rights are particularly important to criminal defendants facing formal proceedings by the criminal justice system. Individual rights. Now, here's one that I plan to pursue at some point. I really think that it's going to be worthwhile. This is an individual rights advocate. Individual rights advocate is one who seeks to protect personal freedoms within the process of criminal justice. Okay, so these are people that fight for the freedoms and the process of a criminal justice system. That would be individual rights advocate. Information. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Information, what could that possibly be? I think you're going to find this really interesting. A formal written accusation submitted to the court by a prosecutor alleging that a specified person has committed a specific offense. That is information. So when you're requesting things and all that, make sure that the information is also requested. Let's talk about justice. The principle of fairness, the ideal of moral equity. The principle of fairness, the ideal of moral equity. This is definitely about the melting pot, multiculturalism, the existence within society of diverse groups that maintain unique cultural identities while frequently accepting and participating in the larger society's legal and political systems. Multiculturalism is often used in conjunction with the term diversity to identify many distinctions of social significance, also called cultural pluralism. Let's talk about a preliminary hearing, a proceeding before a judicial officer in which 3 matters must be decided. 1, whether a crime was committed. 2, whether the crime occurred within the territorial jurisdiction of the court. And 3, whether there are reasonable grounds to believe that the defendant committed the crime. So that's part of the preliminary hearing. Let's talk about probable cause. A set of facts and circumstances that would induce a reasonably intelligent, prudent person to believe that a specified person has committed a specific crime. Also, reasonable grounds to make or believe an accusation. Probable cause refers to the necessary level of belief that would allow for police seizures, arrests of individuals, and full searches of dwellings, vehicles, and possessions. Okay, so that is the definition of probable cause. That's a pretty good idea, Jingy. Procedural fairness. This is very, very important, guys. The process by which procedures that feel fair to those involved are made. The process by which procedures that feel fair to those involved are made. Procedural fairness. A public order advocate. These are our trolls, guys. These are the ones that think that rules should be made so that people can be prevented from doing this or that because it's a very scary and ugly thing. One who believes under certain circumstances involving a criminal threat to public safety, the interests of society should take precedence over individual rights. How many do we know of those public order advocates? Social control. This one I think you guys are really going to like. The use of sanctions and rewards within a group to influence and shape the behavior of individual members of that group. Social control is a primary concern of social groups and communities, and it is their interest in the exercise of social control that leads to the creation of both criminal and civil statutes. So you're right, they are on every corner, and Graham, rules are put there to keep his leg in check, but the rules are meant to be broken. Okay, so that was social control. Let's talk about bigots, and let's talk about people that are out to hurt other people because maybe they're Muslim or maybe they're gay, maybe they're transgender, and these people do not like those kind of people. Social disorganization, a condition said to exist when a group is faced with social change, uneven development of culture, maladaptiveness, disharmony, conflict, and lack of consensus. Boy, don't we know a few of those. Let's talk about social justice. An ideal that embraces all aspects of civilized life and that is linked to fundamental notions of fairness and to cultural beliefs about right and wrong. Okay, so that is social justice. Social order, the condition of a society characterized by social integration, consensus, smooth functioning, and lack of interpersonal and institutional conflict. Also a lack of social disorganization. Sustainable justice. Criminal laws and criminal justice institutions, policies, and practices that achieve justice in the present without compromising the ability of future generations to have the benefits of a just society. And I'm going to be coming out with a video very soon that talks about this subject. Exactly, Huckleberry. Let's talk about a trial. What is a trial? In criminal proceedings, the examination in court of the issues of fact and relevant law in a case for purpose of convicting or acquitting the defendant. That is what a trial is. What is a warrant? In criminal proceedings, a writ issued by a judicial officer directing a law enforcement officer to perform a specified act in affording the officer protection from damages if he or she performs it. In criminal proceedings, a writ issued by a judicial officer directing a law enforcement officer to perform a specified act and affording the officer protection from damages if he or she performs it. So that is what a warrant does, if you guys were ever wondering. That is the end of the 35 out of 35. Excuse me. Sorry about that. But are there any questions? Do you guys want to hear any specific definition before I go? Does anybody want to know anything? Anybody have any questions? All right. Well, this is Maddie. This has been CC Live. I apologize for the screen, but I'm videotaping a computer with my phone, which I have some learning to do to learn how the other guys do it. I will be learning how the other people do it and record my own screen, but for now, I just thought that getting the information in your hands would be far more important than just looking at it, because this is something you can read a newspaper, read a book, and listen to the definitions. Good question, Graham. Could a regular citizen request a search warrant by a police officer? And the answer is no. You got to be an officer of the court. You can't just search somebody. You have to have the proper credentials, and if you do, you could end up with more than just illegal search. You're talking about battery and just a plethora of charges. So that's not something that you would want to do. The officer that would be on the scene, most of the time they can't search you without a warrant. They have to have probable cause. Exactly. They have to have the right element to affect the arrest. Exactly, Jingy. Good job. So that would be no. You can't just do that. But as you guys can see, I promised you guys last year that I was going to go to college, that I absolutely plan to be an attorney. That's pretty much the reason why on Constitutional Corner I have changed my approach, except when it comes to Putnam County, because Joe Wells is a known liar and was terminated from the Palatka Police Department because he is a known liar. I feel very strongly that he is not only a known liar, but a bigot. I also believe him to be in the category of social disorder, and this is all coming from an undersheriff of the Putnam County Sheriff's Office. So take that for what it's worth. Fuck you, Joe Wells, you piece of shit. You can keep sending your trolls, Joe Wells. I noticed the comments. I have printouts of the comments. Exactly. I have printouts of the comments that were made on Facebook. I have a video coming up. I gave you guys a teaser on it. I'm going to give you the full video, and I'm also going to show you that I'm for real. I not only beat the case, but I wasn't found guilty or not guilty. They threw the case right out of court. My evidentiary support far outweighed the deputy's BS butthurt ticket, and I beat the deputy. Deputy McDonald, if you see this, fuck you too, you piece of shit. You gave me a ticket because you were butthurt because I flipped you off. Ha ha, I win. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call this one a night. 30 minutes. So I appreciate you guys watching. Remember to stay free, stay safe. Always exercise your rights. Know your rights, because a life without knowledge is death in disguise. Thanks, guys. Love you.